internet people. Okay, I'm not talking about books today. I am solely going to be talking about movies. Mostly movies. I'm going to throw in one book because it's behind me and I'm just going to point at it. But this is not really a book video. This is a movie video. So I have been in the mood recently, and this happened sort of like randomly, where I just like only want to have probably crappy horror movies on in the background while I'm like doing other things. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of like go on whatever streaming apps that I have on my iPad, and I'll just like pick random things and listen to them / watch them because I'm doing other things. So I'm not like 100% focused. But some of these things I did watch like more actively. So this is so interesting. I'm sure for a lot of people who are like, what? You weren't really paying attention? But yeah. I always have to have sound on when I'm doing stuff, except filming, because that would annoy people. But I constantly am like listening to something in some capacity, no matter what I'm doing. So I had a trial, well, I had the free trial of Shudder, and then I had a full month of Shudder because I just didn't cancel before the trial was over. We got it so we could watch It's a Wonderful Knife, and I've had Shudder off and on. It's just, I have so many like streaming services that I was just like, I can't have another one right now. So I spent like a month where I was just watching a bunch of stuff on Shudder, so I would get the most out of my little window of time where I had it. So a lot of these are Shudder movies, and then some, like a handful of them, are things that I've watched more recently when I didn't have Shudder, and those are just kind of all over the place. I am gonna rant about one movie that I can't even remember the title of, and I'm not even taking the time to look it up. I'm just gonna complain about it slightly when I get into like the end of the video, just cause. But here are the movies that I have watched recently that I either really liked or I thought were like a fun time. So I will start with all the ones that were on Shudder, just so you know the breakdown of them. So the first one of the movies that I watched was called Sissy, which was exceptionally queer. It just like popped up. I think it's Aisha D, who played Kat in The Bold Type. She's been in a ton of stuff. She is the main character. Now there are characters who call her Sissy, but she doesn't want people to call her that. She is currently like a social media meditation influencer, like one of those, she does like videos where she's like, oh, this is how you like find your center, don't let things bother you. She talks very quietly, very calmly, and you would think that she has kind of her whole life together. Turns out not so much. She was bullied and also like slightly unsure of how to make friends when she was younger, and so she had a best friend who sort of like stopped being friends with her because she got a new friend, and the new friend was like, ugh, she's so gross, don't be friends with her. And so this resulted in like, I'm gonna say Sissy because I cannot remember her name right now, her doing something she shouldn't have, and out of the blue she runs into her former childhood best friend, winds up invited to her bachelorette party, and then her like girls weekend. This is set in Australia, so I think it's called a hen do, and they're like out in nature. Her former best friend and all of her former best friends, like more recent friends, things get very murdery. There are dramatic breaks of consciousness. I'm gonna call it consciousness. But it is a wild time. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, like the whole time I was watching it, I was just like shocked. Also, Sissy had really cute pink hair. I can't pull off pink hair, but I do really need to touch up my purple. I almost wish I could do it myself, but I'm paranoid to do it myself because my hair is so dark. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. It's just like a queer hot mess of a horror movie. Like I was just like, what? Even if you're not looking for queer horror, I would still really recommend it because I was like, what the holy crap, like the whole time. Like I was just baffled the entire time. It was really good. Okay, the rest of these descriptions will be shorter. One movie that I watched that I'm just gonna throw out there as like a silly thing, I watched a lot of these around Christmas time. I watched a movie called The Christmas Presents, which was not particularly good, but there was a really funny gag where one of the queer female characters was like, oh my god, lesbian bed death, like LBD, and then she was killed by a bed. I just thought it was really funny. It's a very odd film. If you are looking for a Christmas horror movie, I would still suggest it, but like, it's not a must watch. That joke just like really stuck with me and I thought it was really funny. Okay, so the next The next one I'm going to talk about is technically 3 movies, but I really liked the third the most. I watched the entire Hell House LLC set of movies that are out. I think they're making another one. They're all found footage, so they're like found footage / documentary style. And it does focus initially on Hell House LLC, which is like a haunted attraction company. They get this building. And then when they start doing the haunt and prepping for it, they start seeing things. That is the focus of the first one. The second one is a theater troupe in the same building. And the third one is not technically set in that location. It's set at the Carmichael Manor, but because it is a franchise, everything is connected. But I was shocked because the leads in the third one, which the full title of that one is Hell House LLC Origins Carmichael Manor, which is a very long title. It focuses on Margot and Rebecca, who are girlfriends. And one is a paranormal investigator and the other one is a realtor. And it is just, oof. I really liked the third one a lot. I don't know what they would do for the fourth one, but some horror podcasts, either Horror Queers, I think it was Horror Queers, said that they're doing a fourth one, but I have no idea when that's coming out or anything about it. But those were wild. I'm sure a ton of people have already seen them, but if you like found footage movies, I would recommend them. I really liked the third one a lot, which I've already said, but I feel like you have to watch kind of all of them to know what's happening because they reference the other two. The second one was kind of an for me. Like I did, some of it's a little odd, but I did like the first one. The first one is very creepy found footage with some twists, but I would say watch all 3 so you can get to the third one, which is really, really good. Okay, so next one. Okay, so those are all the Shudder ones. No, I have one more Shudder one, sorry. This one is a more serious movie. It was called Attachment. It was so well done. It is in Danish and English, so I did actually have to pay attention to this one because I had to read the Danish subtitles, like when it was in English. Oh my gosh, when it was in Danish, I had to read the English subtitles. But this is about 2 women. Oh, my phone is ringing. This keeps happening. One sec. Okay, hi, I'm back. I'm really not trying to make this a bit. I know in my last video, like, I had to leave twice because something was going on. So before I finish talking about Attachment, I got a call from my wife Krista because we live in upstate New York, like pretty close to Canada upstate, and it's winter time, and because the universe is evil, a hunk of ice fell off of our roof and hit the front of our car. And so we've already called insurance, and so she needed to let me know like when the adjuster was coming, which is not until next week. And then she's been calling around to body shops and some folks she knows in the area to see if they have suggestions for a place, and like everywhere is booked up. And so she was like trying to figure out a place. So she was calling to tell me that she finally found a place that once we talk to the adjuster and they give us the like estimate and all that jazz, that we could take to and what they're going to try and do to the car. So it was a very important phone call. But this exact same thing happened last time I tried to film. So maybe I should stop trying to film in the morning. Maybe I should stick to like filming at other times. I don't know. It's fine. I needed to know all these things, but I just told her it was funny because she called in the middle of my last video. But anyway, I'm leaving that in because it doesn't matter to me. I'm just filming a chatty video, and you know, sometimes people get phone calls where they're talking. But back to Attachment. So Attachment is in Danish and English, which I already mentioned. It's about 2 women who meet, Maya and Leah. Leah is from England, and her father was a very, I think it's Hasidic, because she's like very strict, and then she does like the curl motion, and typically my limited knowledge is that the curls are normally Hasidic Jews. But her mother also like converted when they got married. She was Jewish, but not that specific, more strict form of Judaism. And so Leah says that her mom still lives in the area. She lives in an apartment with her mom, but like it's a split house. So like the mom lives on the first floor, she lives on the second. And while they're together, Leah is supposed to head back to England, and she suddenly has sort of like a seizure and her leg breaks. And then as the story progresses, we see Leah doing some like interesting things, and then Maya is noticing some odd like things around the house, like bowls hidden in corners that have markings in them, like I don't know what it was exactly, but like a salt or some kind of very fine rock in the corner. She sees something like hidden in a wall, And then she goes to this bookstore, and it turns out the owner of the store is Leah's uncle, and he's like telling her stuff about Kabbalah, but she says like, oh, like Madonna, and he's like, no, not like Madonna. So we get into the topic of sort of like supernatural entities in Jewish lore, and as it progresses, we learn that her mother is very invested in this sort of they say magic at a certain point, so I'm going to say magic. This like magic work that relates to elements of Judaism. So the story progresses, things are getting very odd, and we watch as Leah's mother, who is very accepting of the fact that Leah is with Maya, but not comfortable with like some of the things that Leah wants to do. She's just like very concerned. It's just very interesting. The story, I can't really explain without like really spoiling it. But I will say it delves into Jewish folklore, and sort of the topic of like what you can do and like what you think may be working to protect someone in your belief system. It is a very, very good movie. I really enjoyed it. And now, yes, that is the final Shudder movie. So the next, like, it's really not a lot of movies. The next little set is a combination of like Hulu and Netflix. So I watched Fun and Games on Hulu, which has, I think, the lead from the show Sex Education in it. And he sounds a lot like Joshua Jackson from Dawson's Creek throughout the movie, which was very odd. And Nancy from Stranger Things. And then there's one random lesbian character who's just like, I'm a lesbian. She literally says she is a lesbian at a certain point, which was not the goal. Yes, I know, I touched my face. There's a hair poking me, my nose, and showing me a little, Anyway, so in this movie, the younger brother Joe finds this odd knife that says something on it, and then he starts acting strangely, and it turns out that this knife is possessed. We're in Salem, Massachusetts, which, cute. This is from Blackcraft. I showed it off in another video, but it's super cozy. Anyway, but it's in Salem, and it turns out that while witch things were going on, there was a boy who was like tormented because his mother was marked as a witch, and so this knife gives him the ability to play with children again, except it's murder. Like, it's just super gory, lots of death. And what's happening is they're playing various games, but all of the games are murder related. It was a fun time. You didn't really have to think a lot while you were watching it. So I watched that, and then there was another movie on Shudder. Sorry, I really like movies with like social media elements. I just think it's fun. But I watched a movie after this that I really cannot remember the name of, but it was terrible, and all I know is it starred Ashley Benson. She was a cam girl. I thought it would be cool because I liked the Netflix movie, I think, The Cam. But it's terrible. It's an awful movie. I actually got aggressively angry at the end of this one. Again, don't remember the name. I just know it was on Hulu, had a cam girl in it, was made in 2023, but is set in 2020. So if you see an Ashley Benson horror movie with roughly that plot, don't watch it, it's bad. But the Shudder movie, I forgot. Influencer was really good. It's actually been on some lists. I think it even may have won like some kind of something or other. But it focuses on social media influencers who like wind up in this country. And this is not a spoiler. This is the opening of the movie. They meet this woman who then kind of tricks them and then tries to take over their lives. It is very good. You should watch Influencer on Shudder. It was really good. Anyway, going back to other movies. So almost done, I promise. I then wound up watching Choose or Die on Netflix. Weirdly, because the guy from Fun and Games was on the header image for it. He's not really the main character though. He is a side character. Is it Kayla? I think her name is Kayla. If I'm wrong on her name, I'm so sorry. But it opens with this guy who is like probably stepdad or like boyfriend. I think stepdad though. To this woman and her kid. And this like teenage boy, older teenager, is like, he's so weird, like he just hangs out in that room and fixates on 80s culture, blah 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 blah. And I was like, shush, like he's a nice guy. And it turns out that this man is playing a game. I think his name's Gary. And the game, what you are doing actually happens. So there's something wrong with the game. Like, it'll ask you to choose or you will die. And it's always like horrible things. Like, choose or die. The first one is his tongue, her ear. And he is like, what? No, I'm not going to choose, because he doesn't know what's going on. And then it turns into just there's a lot of gore in this movie. We don't stay with him. We actually move to another character, because as it turns out, that copies, they show you this in the intro sequence, so you actually have to pay attention to the intro credits. We see like Gary playing the game, and like just the screen, and it says make copies. And one of the copies winds up with this friend of Kayla's, and they're like messing around with it, and then she winds up playing the game too, and it is so gory, but it was really good. It was like really scary, actually. Like parts of it are so creepy, because the game sort of just like takes over things and like is completely in control of something. So it just takes over real life. It was so creepy. It was really, really good. I don't know when it came out, but I really enjoyed it. And then the last two, I randomly decided to watch Ouija and then Ouija Origin of Evil. Ouija, meh. Very like mid 2000s-y movie. Not bad, not great. Like I was just kind of like, oh, this is fine. But I only watched the sequel because Mike Flanagan was the director, and it was basically like watching Haunting of Hill House, or really Haunting of Hill House, because most of the actors in it were actually in that, the adult actors. So it was just wild. I was having a great time. That one was really creepy, so you could skip the first one unless you like want to see how it ties in, because it is actually tied into the first one. So Ouija mentions characters and like stuff that happened, and then we're seeing the events that were referenced in that movie from like, it's a period piece technically. It's set in like the 50s. I think it's 50s. But it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it, and I was shocked that I actually enjoyed it. So I would recommend that if you like the Haunting of Hill House like franchise, or like really anything by Mike Flanagan. Okay, last thing. I've done basically everything. This is longer than I planned. I'm so sorry. But I read Tender is the Flesh, which is over here. Right there. Which is an alternate reality story. It's a translated work where all animals have been said to have a virus that will kill humans. So instead of just like not eating animals or animal byproducts, what society has decided to do is we'll just raise humans that we're going to eat. And we are following Marcus. Yes. And he works at one of the plants. So we see him on like runs to like breeding centers and tanneries. So you're very like suddenly immersed in this world where it is totally normal that there are special humans that you eat. But he gets gifted, which is creepy, a woman. And the guy's like, oh, this is a gift, like, just to say thank you, like, here you go. And so he has this woman at his house. And then events change from there because he's been in an unhappy marriage, and his wife is not living at the house. And so he becomes very attached to this woman, who cannot speak, because that is a thing that they do. And it gets very wild. I really enjoyed it. It's a very short story. It's just so creepy. Like, the idea of it is creepy, and I was just like, oh god. Oh yeah, no, oof. But yeah, so that is all the horror things. I just threw that in there because I read it like super recently, so I thought I would talk about it. But that is everything. If you have any horror recommendations, let me know. They can be good, they can be bad, they can be blah. And I might check them out because I'm in just like a weird watch whatever kind of mood. But yeah, leave those in the comments. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Next video, I'll try not to get a phone call in the middle. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, horror recs in the comments, or you can give them to me over on Instagram. I'm Clefco Ever After over there too. Yes, if you like this video, thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. I have lots of other videos out right now that you can check out. I also have like a try-on haul of Blackcraft stuff in one of them. But yes, so I'm gonna let you go. I hope you have a wonderful day and that you avoid all ice and damage to your car. Bye, internet people.